Today is the 19th of November, marking the very first episode of the E-INNOFEST pre-webinar that we're having today. And the first episode we have today, the topic is Business Value X Community Value. And together with me, I'm your host today, William Koong from Taylors Mereka Makerspace. And together with me, two very, very prominent and special guests we have here today to talk about our topic. And the very first person we have is Mr. Johnson Lam from KakiDIY, right? He's not new to the social enterprise scene as well as the industry. Yeah, a lot of people know him as Mr. Kaki Repair because he runs a lot of his repairing workshops in the weekend all around Malaysia for many years already. Yeah, and his mobile workshop as well. And next, next person, of course, Dr. Edwin Chung from Taylors KTC. A knowledge transfer and commercialization. Dr. Edwin is very well versed. He leads the KTC department, oftentimes giving good, appraisals to different ideas from students and also to lead them towards commercialization. Yeah. All right, let's have a bit of an intro from the both of you guys here today. Let's start with Johnson first. Hi, Johnson.
Hi, William. Hi, thank you. Hi, everyone. Well, William, you introduced me quite well already, so nothing much to say. I'm Johnson, the founder of KakiDIY. DIY is my hobby, and I always love to do DIYs of all kinds. And yes, recently do a lot of repair activities. And as William have just introduced, I run a movement called Kaki Repair, where we teach people and help people how to repair your own broken stuff. Yeah, happy to be here.
It's an honor always to have you around. Huh? Thank you so much, Johnson. And next, Dr. Edwin.
Hi, everyone. I don't really know what to say about myself. Nothing much to say, actually. I'm currently the Director for Knowledge Transfer and Commercialization. So my day job is related to finding intellectual properties that is developed within the university, protecting it, and then making money out of it. So that's my current role. Before that, I was in the semiconductor industry, and in the semiconductor industry, I was attached both at the factory side, the back end manufacturing side, as well as in the front end IC design side. So I've been involved in designing IC chip that goes into computer, as well as IC chip that goes into a mobile phone. But my new natural curiosity is about business in the sense that how can we do something that can sustain itself and benefit others at the same time. I'm someone that talks about business value all the time, and it is more because of where I've been and how business value was introduced to me. I think enough said. We can have more conversation as we go along.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much to two of our very honorable guests here today. So Taylors University is having their InnoFest, the 2020 InnoFest, right? And this InnoFest is happening in December. And this is the very first episode of the webinar that we are doing here today that will feature the topic of business value X community value. Just a bit of a background to the theme, why we choose this particular type of theme, because we want to know, like, in terms of innovation today, right? A lot of people are coming out with more and more innovation. It's the age of innovation, some of them even say, yeah? So while we are busy creating all these innovative things and all that, like, number one priority, of course, to make money for most of the enterprises or technopreneurs out there. But aside from making money, are we actually making people's lives better, or we are just making people spend more? So we just want to understand more, like, as someone who is coming out to create something, or an innovator who interested to innovate, right? Dr. Edwin and also Johnson, can I really like maximize my profit together with maximizing my impact to the community out there? Is this actually fairy tale, or is this actually can happen? Any of you, like Johnson first? Johnson nodding a lot.
Okay, yeah, I'm nodding because I quite agree. And then, yeah, so basically, okay, a little bit of background before we come into it as well. Yes, just like Dr. Edwin, I was also, I am still in the industry. So previously, before moving to KL, I was in Penang. I was working with NMCs and Dell computers and all that, right? And of course, in any type of business, okay, let's look at a big corporation first. The first thing that everyone is looking into is, of course, profitability, as in like dollars and cents, right? And at the same time, we're looking towards like how to grow and how to sustain the company. However, on the other side, when I started up, communities and, going into the social enterprise uh, grand scheme of things, right? Then I start to realize that, end of the day, yes, there are three criteria where any type of companies are looking into. Number one, of course, is, the whole impact, which is profitability. The second part is on the sustainability, how to sustain the business long term. And three is how to grow and scale the business, right? This particular part actually is not really different from any community or any social enterprise as well, especially the sustainability and the growth part. Because at the same time, if you don't know how to sustain the whole movement, right, then the movement will be gone the next day. And the third part is, if you don't know how to grow, then after that you will be doing exactly the same thing over and over again. The first part is the one that's slightly different. Okay, so for businesses, and from my perspective, right, of course, the impact and what they're looking for is the profitability in terms of dollars and cents. Whereas for a community or from a social enterprise perspective, we are actually looking at the impact or the value of it from the social impact, and does it make life better, like you said just now, or does it help solve certain issues and things like that. So these are my point of these two. And just now your question about like whether both of it can be together or not, it's not impossible, although a lot of people, whether it's on the business side or on the social side, okay, so the business side is trying to cross over, right? Usually they are doing CSRs and adding all these social responsibility things into the business. And from the social part of it also, people are also trying to convert all these charity stuff and things that they do, movement that they run for fun, into profitability. Because end of the day, if without that part, then sustainability is going to be a problem as well. I think we're going to talk more on this one. And yeah, how about Dr. Edwin?
Okay. You know the term innovation. If you were to Google this term and you look for how innovation practitioner define the term innovation, you get all kind of definition, but a good half of them would define something along the line of value. You find a lot of these people talking about innovation being something related to value to customer, or value to the company, or value to the organization. The definition that I like the most is that innovation is a creation of value. It doesn't say whether it's a business value or community value. It's just a creation of value. So when we innovate, literally, you are creating value. So what Johnson said about the 3 points, profitability, sustainability, and growth, is the same, right? Whatever you do, if you cannot sustain it, whether it's a business or for social or whatever the case is, it's of no use. You can do it once, you can do it twice, and it won't sustain. So whatever good thing that you can bring in, you can't sustain it, is actually quite useless. It's the same with business. I can start a business, and if I can't sustain it, I can't make a living out of it. My employee cannot make a living out of it. It's also useless. So from my point of view, whether it is a business or for community, meaning so for social or for commercial, the sustainability portion is an important element. One, growth. If you want growth because you actually want to have a bigger impact, either to your own organization or to the community that you are trying to support. So to me, can business value and community value coincide at the same time? To me, the answer is yes, because when we innovate, I don't care if it is innovating a new product for commercial purposes or creating a new services for community. It is about creation of value. Now, when I introduced myself earlier, I was saying that I talk about business value all the time. Perhaps I give why do I use the term business value all the time? Is this? I come from Intel. In Intel, we had someone by the name of Martin Kelly. When I say business value, it is from the angle that he introduced it. So Martin Kelly was the head of IT Innovation Center at Intel. And no doubt he did not say it, but when I read between the line, right? So we were like the IT Innovation Center. You can look at us like we were technical pre-sales. So we were trying to give solution to the client, and these are big clients, right? Big multinational, and there must be a way for us to help them justify to their bosses for budget to buy our equipment. That's what we do, right? We want to push our item, but IT tends to be seen as a cost center. But Martin Kelly came out with this concept of business value where he could put the value of what IT does for an organization as a means of contributing to the revenue or the benefit to the company. And he coined this as business value. So having been brainwashed by, being in Intel, and they talked to us about this and we were using this term. So I use the term business value all the time. But when we innovate, we are just talking about value. Yeah. But the interesting thing is this. So if I just say, I just use the word value and I don't have a word before that, either social or community or business, right? It feels incomplete.
Yeah, it's too general, right?
Yeah, it's too general. So if I were to talk about an entrepreneur and then then I talk about value, I cannot use the word social value because he's not about social, right? It just so happens that I have been in contact with people who actually are interested in the business side. So the term business value with me seems to stick. And to the extent that when I help people for community purposes, I still use the term business value, but what I actually mean is just value.
Thank you, Dr. Edwin. That's a very good thing that you brought up over there towards the last part of your message there. That means the perception of the word business itself. True enough, like if you're from a social enterprise or you're from the NGO background, let's just say I'm from an NGO background before this. And when we're trying to do like campaigns, we call it the community innovations, mostly falls under programs and campaigns. That's how they innovate. That's how they find different creative ideas in order to help. But the word business always is the word that they try to avoid talking to with the community, because they always have a wrong perception. Business means, oh, you Chinese looking person, you talk about business, you say, well, come and help us. You're not going to help us. Like we have to, we know these kind of things from people from the NGO. We know that this is not the word to say it out, But then after your explanation, it really does bring limelight to people like, hey, so now business value and community value, they are not so far away from each other, right? Business value is like the steps it takes for the community to achieve the community value. So in a way, you still need a tempat kosong, a blank in the middle to fill it up with a sustainable system, which most of the time is a business, right? For instance, like Johnson, how you're running a movement, right? Right, and in a movement, it's all about the community. And in that sense, when you're running this, you want your movement to be sustainable. And along the way, there's definitely that gap that you fill up with things that would provide that sustainability to your movement. Yeah. Right. So can you tell us a little bit more about those interesting activities that help fund your movement? Because they are like, these young people are going to listen to the recordings of this webinar, and they're going to think like, hey, I don't want to be someone's worker. I want to graduate and do my own work, I want to innovate myself as well. So let them hear some of your triumph stories, like some of your struggles actually, that would be more precise.
Okay, will do. And thank you. Dr. Edwin put it very, very clearly and precisely on the part of the business value part of it. Because end of the day, yes, generally from a social perspective, like what William said, we are usually very shy of using the word business, because the moment you bring this up in any type of, discussion, the first thing people think will be like, oh, this fella is in it for the money only, right? Kind of thing. However, you know, although we don't want to talk about it, but actually we are thinking about it all the time, because without thinking about that particular part of sustainability and how are you going to generate, whether it's income or some funding coming in, actually you're going to, I mean, struggle all the way, and probably the movement won't work at all, right? So I can share with you like currently what we are doing in Kaki Repair movement, right? So Kaki Repair movement, when it first started, definitely the particular part on the whole business or slash profitability and stuff like that weren't totally in the picture, right? It is because actually we were quite comfortable, is because Kaki Repair is a movement that is created under the whole KakiDIY umbrella. So at least we know that, you know, the funding and the support is coming from the KakiDIY organization itself, so we don't need to think about it. However, the part where we start to realize that, wow, first, the movement is getting bigger, which means people, every time we have a class like that, is full. And people want to build more of it. And some communities start to, you know, adopt this particular Kaki Repair movement, and they wanted to run it themselves. And then they start to realize that, oh, they don't have such support tools and even funding from an umbrella group, right? So that's when we start to realize that, oh, okay, any movement, definitely we have to think about that particular business model and sustainability part. That's when the whole Kaki Repair movement, we actually took a step back and relook on how are we going to sustain and how are we going to scale. And that part of it, of course, we look into the value itself. And of course, any movement, our values, okay, usually the community and social value is very, very strong. But then the business value part of it is next to zero sometimes, right? So that's when we took a step back and realized that, okay, although this particular movement is helping a lot of people, this particular movement is creating a lot of impact towards, you know, okay, basically Kaki Repair is a movement where, you know, you come in and you learn how to repair stuff, right? And then we teach you how to repair for free. And I always maintain that particular free part, because, you know, in movements such as this, if we start having, you know, payment or something like that, that actually stops the growth, because end of the day our focus is to grow this particular thing, right? So how then if we are not going to charge people for it, so what are the other methods that we can, right? So from there we start to realize that, okay, so for each of the value we can actually tie it to some sort of like, you know, a business model. So for example, people are learning something, right? So one part of it that we can make it grow is, so since you have already learned something, so you can pay it forward by coming to the next one and then contribute to help another person. So that way, okay, you can grow, the community can grow, the movement can grow, but it doesn't involve like, you know, huge cost, because now one person teach, let's say these two fellas, the next session, now you have one plus the other two, now you have three people teaching another 4 person and things like that, right? And 6 person, and it start to grow, okay? So that's how one part of it where, you know, the business value is there, because end of the day, it creates sustainability, it creates growth. However, it's still not involving dollars and cents, okay? Then we also start to realize that, you know, certain communities, of course, they needed some dollars and cents. If not, they can't pay for, you know, rental, electricity and tools and things like that. So that's when we work out the movement to be, you have the free movement where you bring in things and then start to repair. At the same time, there's a commercial layer behind this particular movement. So those hosts, okay, the curator or caretakers of the Kaki Repair in different communities now actually have a little repair, what do you call that? It's like a repair team. Okay, so this repair team during the Kaki Repair movement will help advise and teach repair for free. Okay, however, there's a lot of people who comes in and say that, okay, I want to repair this, okay, but I really can't learn. I don't have time to do it, and I actually this thing is very sentimental for me. I need it to be repaired. Can you guys, you know, repair it for me? So that's when the team then able to generate some income, because they will be doing repair as a service. So that's one particular layer also. And the third layer into this is actually, you know, end of the day, repairing and all that, a lot of people like to come, a lot of people would like to participate, and usually getting a place is going to be tough, right? So instead of this movement going around renting places, now this movement can also strike a deal with people with assets, you know, like shopping malls and education centers. So they are the one that's actually supporting, sponsoring and funding the community to have people coming in to learn to repair and all that. Because end of the day, okay, so there's now creating two values to both sides. One is the value of the asset owner. Now the asset owner have more footfall. Okay, if it's for the malls, people who comes in will then, you know, eat in the mall and buy and realize that, you know, there are more services that's happening. Education center can also cross-sell their educational stuff. So it creates value for them, it creates value for the community. So yeah, so that's how we go about it.
Wow, thank you so much. So what you're saying, Johnson, is also that quite interestingly, like most of the times, this actually happens to a lot of NGOs or social enterprises or startups that wants to, social enterprises, I would say, like most of the time they achieve the beginning in the start, they achieve community value, but because they did not introduce business value or business elements into their programs or into their communities, then thus the sustainability of their of them themselves, it's very, very low. Many of them close down during this period of time as well, right?
Yes.
It's a very, very interesting way of doing work. So we have a question from Joanne Lim to everyone. How to monetize efforts? Dr. Edwin, you wanna try?
Sure.
Try on this.
Sure. Perhaps I do a contrast between what Johnson has said just now.
Yes, please.
You know, the concept of business value, the way I'm trained is that we do not venture into anything until and after we have vetted the potential business value, the potential value of whatever we want to venture into, and whatever the case is, if we say we're going to do certain things, we estimate the potential value, and if the potential value is not good, right, we throw it away. But if the potential value is there, you hang on to it as though your life depends on it. So it doesn't mean that if we venture into something, we won't change. Because you venture into something, you'll learn new things, and then you would change, just like what you guys have done. I'm pretty sure if I were to venture into the things that you're doing, we would also change like that, because you learn new things. Monetizing effort, you know, in terms of when I say business value, everything that we do, when we look at the benefit, we convert the benefit of the potential into dollars and cents. And we are constantly seeing how, I don't like to use the word how to make money out of it, but we are constantly seeing how we can actually sustain it. The emphasis behind it actually how we can sustain. And unfortunately, in this day and age, it is, if I can make money, I can actually sustain that. Or if it is not money, but I can barter for it, I can also still sustain. So to answer the question as to how to monetize effort, it's more like always looking at it with one eye towards the business element. I give you an example. I give you an example. I think this was in either Pakistan or somewhere in that area. And it's very similar to a story I have with my students. This guy actually wanted, he saw many housewives don't have a job. I have students from Pakistan. At one point in time, I asked them, what do you have a lot of in Pakistan? He says unemployment. Lots of people without jobs. So I think this man also saw this, where there were lots of housewives with no jobs. I can't remember whether it's Pakistan or nearer to us. And what this business did was that they are business of making jeans. Like they are like a factory making jeans. But what they did was, at the factory, they cut the denim into different patterns, right? Into different part of the jeans. And they sell the sewing machine to all these people. There's a reason why they sell it, because then these people become committed in the business. So then this house would be shipped certain number of pieces of units. And sometime later, the guy will come back and collect it. Now, unknowingly or knowingly, what has happened is that he has given jobs to these people. But at the same time, they get paid. So this housewife get paid. But with the payment that they have, they slowly repair, do payment for the loan of the sewing machine. After some time, they paid out the loan, the machine is theirs. And they don't have to do that. So how do you monetize effort, in my opinion, would be whatever you're doing, even for social needs, right? There is always an eye towards sustainability. And the sustainability portion, like it or not, is more or less always related to business. So you always have an eye towards the business element of it. Not to make money, but to at least sustain, right?
Right. Please continue, Dr. Edwin.
Huh? Oh, you want some more?
No, did I accidentally agreed and interrupted you just now?
No. Is it sufficient to?
Oh, it is definitely. That's a very good example of social innovation.
Yeah.
That would be. We will discuss more about that in our third episode of this of the webinar happening on. I'm just going to do some promotion happening on the 9th of December. All right. So thank you so much, Dr. Edwin. That's a very good example. Utilizing decentralizing values, decentralizing production. To create such community values, you know. We had a few examples that are like that also during the pandemic time as well. There was a lot of activities of decentralizing the production of PPEs and different needs also happening, you know. So that's a good way to do it. Okay, so I have a question for you guys. What are the examples of good business value and community value sort of a product or innovation that y'all can share with us? Some of the examples, like Dr. Edwin shared about the Pakistani campaign. So on Johnson's side.
Okay, since we have a lot of students, listeners, and all also, right? I can share with everyone one real story that happened, how before KakiDIY happened. So it was one of my little business. So when I was studying in college that time, right? So I started my first business, and the purpose of the business is very simple. I need something that can generate income that will help me to, you know, at least pay for college fees and, you know, get some pocket money, right? So in this particular instance, my main focus, my goal, everything is business, profit, and money, right? So that's the part where I start to realize what we discuss here today, you know, I start to learn it from the hard way. Okay, so that time, let me see, I was 19 years old. I started my first computer business that time. And that particular time was not like today, okay? You can just buy a laptop off the shelf and online and stuff like that, right? So I can tell you how old I am. So basically that time was 1999. It was the era of Pentium 2, and then 2 just launched kind of thing. So that time, everyone, you know, you got to be either a computer wizard to be able to build your own PC, or you have to spend like 5 figures to get a branded computer like Dell or that time IBM kind of thing, right? HP Compaq, yeah, that time Compaq was also quite famous. So that was the time I created a computer business. And that time was very simple. My business model is how to get profitability. Okay, we buy the parts cheap, assemble it. So they pay, customers pay me for the service. And then, you know, I provide additional value added service, like, you know, I can customize the computer for you. I package it up, I install it with software and stuff like that. And I send it and also set it up at your house, right? So that time, everything was going quite well. However, as a one person to do all this, right? How much can I do? Okay, because end of the day, weekdays, I'm studying in school, in university, just like the students here. And I only have time either at night or weekend to do it, okay? And then the business start to grow. It start to grow so, you know, big that I have to sacrifice even my weekdays to do this, okay? And it start to impact my studies. Okay, so now I'm in such a way where, you know, how am I going to grow this? Because if I do lesser of it, of course I will earn less. If I, you know, train up someone to do it, or I share with my friends, then what if they become my competitor and they're taking my clients away, right? So that particular time, you know, yeah, it wasn't a time where you have Facebook and social media and stuff like that. So I created something, well, basically I created a forum. That particular forum started because it was part of my business plan to scale the business, right? Because end of the day, as a one person small computer company, no one know who I am. And to be able to get more customers, those days there's no social media. I can't just blast it on Facebook and stuff like that. So the forum actually has, you know, some tips and tricks on how do you take care of your PCs and how do you, you know, hack it a little bit and things like that. And then I start to realize that, hey, this particular forum can be innovated to something that can help the business. Okay. So that's when, you know, I start to realize that this is actually called community building. Okay. Because from this forum, I start to, you know, teach people how to do, you know, DIY maintenance and hacking and things like that. Of course, that time, a lot of businesses will not want to do that, because end of the day, they say by doing this, you're going to have less customers coming directly to you. Okay. However, the value of the business actually became bigger. Of course, it's not in dollars and cents. Now the impact that was created, okay, people know who this company is. So that time my company is called Full Duplex, you know, Full Duplex as in two ways communication. So people start to say that, you know what, this Full Duplex forum is where you can learn, you know, where's the best stuff, you know, what's the best components, you know, which is the best RAM and stuff like that. And in the end, it became a positive thing, because now people read on the forum, contribute on the forum, and newbies coming in say that, oh, okay, this is the best one, I want this. Where can I get it? Okay, they'll buy it from me. Okay, so it created indirect value there. All right. And secondly, also, because a lot of these like-minded people coming in, and then they also doing their own PC services and stuff like that. And because the business grew so big that I can't attend to the service anymore, okay, because of my time. Okay, that time I tell you, I'm so afraid to pick up the phone, because every time I pick up the phone, whether it's 2 a.m. in the morning or something like that, it's surely someone calling about PC repairs, right? So with the people in the forum, I created a repair network, okay, from all these like-minded people. I say, okay, tell you what, since you guys are very good in this forum and things like that, I know your technical skill is very good. Let's have this profit sharing thing, okay, 60-40. You get 60%, okay, I get 40%. I provide you all the tools and everything that's needed. You just represent this Full Duplex group to go do servicing for customers, okay? And then actually in the end, that ratio it drops down all the way to even 30-70. Okay, they take 70% because they are the one going to do that. And in the end, the later on, right, I actually seldom do servicing anymore, and these people are doing servicing, but the income and that is generated into the group is actually more than I'm doing the servicing all by myself. So you see, the value comes from both sides, you know?
Wow, wow. That's an amazing example over there. It really shows how you started off with just a very simple goal, make money. And then suddenly, how can I make more time? And then suddenly, how can I make more people work for me without paying them money? And then suddenly, how can these people working for me can pay me back money?
Yeah.
Wow, that's an amazing, that's legit, man. That's a legit story over there. Thank you so much for sharing, you know. Community building is all about creative networking. And that's what I caught from your, that's a small summary from your part that I'm gonna keep in my pocket.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So actually, I learned that accidentally. A lot of businesses today, or even startups today, they have to go through this, you know, growth hacking guide to say that, you know, in order for you to grow your brand and grow your business, you have to create this ecosystem where you know connect with people and you create this group of like-minded fellas. Yeah, it happened accidentally for me, and I really cherish this particular learning experience, lah.
True, man. True, man. Respect there, Johnson. Yeah, there's too many master classes nowadays. Don't know how to choose. More than salt and pepper. Okay, Dr. Edwin.
I noticed from your story, Johnson, that the more you give, the more you get. Isn't it? So the more you give away to the community, the more the community give back to
Yeah,
you.
yeah, it is.
And in actual fact, all the stories that I've heard where you give to the community, or I mean helping the society, right? And how you turn it into a business is very similar to yours. And an example, I cannot remember the details, would be something like this. Let's just say that I sell burger patties. I train the community how to flip burgers. So I teach him I give him the template or the model as to how to open a store. You need to have this. So you train someone. And then he goes away and he starts selling burgers, right? He starts flipping burgers for a small community. He buys patties from you. And the more people you help that way, the more patties they'll buy from you. You just sell patties. You don't even have to have any kind of other commission. You could literally, very similar to your story. In actual fact, many of the stories I've heard are like that, where they just help these people start their own small business. And it's just not one small business. There are so many of them. And it's also good for these people in the sense that before that, they have got no idea how to make a living for themselves. They can't find a job. They are not educated enough. So they learn how to flip burgers or whatever they learn from you, right? And then after that, they self-sustain. They make a living for themselves. But at the same time, they continue to support you because you are supplying them either the burger patties or the knowledge or what have you. Brilliant model. And I think this model would stay for a long, long time. And if anybody want to duplicate something like this, this is one fantastic model to copy.
And that's really true, actually. Yeah. We talk about it. Like there's more and more of these kind of like micro franchises out there, like what do you call it, roti bakar viral, like
yes,
you know, pisang cheese viral or something.
Yes.
But they all work that way too. There's one supplier to all, and then they sort of prepare them with what they have. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually win-win in the sense that the people who learn how to do it is that, okay, now I learn a trade, right? I know how to make a living for myself.
Yeah, correct.
I like this model.
Yeah. To echo Dr. Edwin, yes, those days, okay, I need to rewind the whole time frame by 10, 20 years. Sorry for the young kids, but I'm gonna touch on what's current as well. So, okay, if you rewind back 10, 20 years ago, it's not that easy for any one of us to go for this type of classes, right? Entrepreneurial classes, business classes, to learn about, you know, how to manage your business, how to connect and all that. However, I told you, it's still relevant today. I'm not asking everyone to just jump into it and do it. However, those days, right, 20 years ago, I learned the most from all these MLM companies, okay? I'm not asking everyone to go do MLM right now. I actually don't quite like it. However, I learned the most from them, okay? Because previously, of course, those days in university, right? I know friends are pushing you, oh, this product very good. Let me share with you. This one very good. You know, after that, you got a lot of benefits and all that. These are actually all the keywords that you're going to learn. At the same time, right, I tell you, when you go to MLM gatherings, right, they are always teaching you all these things on how to do good sales, how to grow your network and all that. These are actually the skills that you're supposed to take back, okay? Regardless whether their product is really good or not, or whether their commission scheme is good or not. But these are actually the hard skills that you should learn, and you can apply in anything else, okay? So if you fast forward it to today, okay, I know a lot of us, we are into TikTok line, to Instagram and Facebook, okay, we are sharing stuff, there's a lot of content and stuff like that. Same thing here as well, right? So students out there, okay, even everyone here, how old you are is the same thing, right? Take a step back, okay? Look at the system. Although the system is all about like, you know, why I'm sharing this, I'm looking at this content, you know, I can post nice picture. But look at how all this system, all these innovative platforms, right, is actually using you as a product to sell their whole system to advertisers, right? By using the same concept, you can actually apply to your own product. You can actually even reverse engineer this to apply to your own social media platform. Okay.
So we are the burger shops. We are the burger stalls.
Yeah.
And Facebook is the patty maker. Oh my gosh.
Correct.
What
Yes.
an enlightenment.
That's the link. Yes, exactly. So it can be for business. It can be even as simple as how to land yourself a good job after you graduate. It's all on your social media as well, right? So, some people might tell you, oh, you've spent so much time in TikTok, it's not good and stuff like that. Hey, who are they to say that this TikTok thing won't land you a 5-figure job immediately kind of thing?
Correct. Well said. So well said. These are future careers. Things that we don't know what's going to happen. What kind of job available next time? Huh?
It is true. It actually happened to one of our students, first batch, chemical engineering student, then went to consultancy. And I do not know how he got picked up, but he got picked up by Facebook. So he's working for Facebook in Ireland right now.
Wow.
Amazing, isn't it? It was through, he's quite good in terms of organizing events and what have you. So he got noticed in the social media platform, and that's how Facebook picked him up from Ireland. So he's in Ireland right now. Don't think he'll ever come back anymore.
Weather is nicer there.
Definitely, social media nowadays, social networking is one of the best, biggest example actually that a lot of people don't see, that you can see business value and community value is being chucked into one big bowl of ice kacang. Now, Facebook even have their marketplace as well. So now the community, you as the burger stall owner, you can not only sell burger, you can sell anything else on the side of your burger stall, coconut, mango, apple, right? It's nuts how we are all thrown into this. So I want to ask a bit about responsibility right now. Like a lot of people are busy innovating, right? And everyone said, this is going to help the blind. This is going to help the people who cannot speak. This is going to help that. This is going to help our housewife. This is going to help like gender inequality. But where is the responsibility in terms of like, when you create something, you're just going to throw it out to the community and let the community decide. But the community does not really have a single thought process altogether. Everyone got different challenges, right? So what's the responsibility out there as an innovator, right? I have business value in my head. I got community value, but is there any other responsibility that we need to be known of? No, that we need to know about?
Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead, Johnson.
Okay, so for this one, let me put up my business hat kind of thing, right? So usually before, launching something, whether it's a product or a solution going into the market, right? From a business perspective. So there are usually 3 things that I usually look at, right? And then these 3 things, of course, we are going to minus away the business itself. Of course, you as a business owner definitely have to look at how to protect your business first. The other 3 things is, number 1, how will it impact the local community? The second one is how will it impact the customer, which is the main user of your particular product and services or whatnot. And thirdly, as important, which a lot of people forgot about it, is how it's going to impact the environment, okay, the global environment. So very simple. Let's say I'm going to launch this particular product, energy system, okay, maybe one of the system that I am working on recently, right? Basically a solar powered planting stuff, right? So of course, why I created this particular product is because, number 1, I'm trying to address like people's need of growing vegetables and plant at home. Okay, that's number 1. Second, I'm trying to also address the the wastage of electricity and power and stuff like that. So that's towards the environment. Okay, the first one is towards the customer. And third, for the local community is, once this one, especially a big hydroponic pot kind of thing, aquaponic pot like this, is done at home. Of course, once your crop grows, it's not for you to eat alone. You cannot finish so much vegetable in one go. It can also be, for the local community. So basically, all these things, okay, when you launch a product, do try to look into these impacts lah.
Thanks. Cool one, Johnson. Cool.
Very interesting. Your experience is amazing. It's very interesting. I think responsibility that the innovator or the businessman holds, right? My philosophy is as follows. If your interest is about making money, nobody cares. But if your interest is for the benefit of someone else, everybody cares. I mean, at least those guys who are affected. So if you have got an ill intent where it is all about making money, at some point in time, someone will find out, and I don't think you can sustain it. Let me give it to you in an example. Where I'm coming from. Near where I'm staying, there is this truck. He sells pao. He just sells bun, you know, and dim sum at in the evening, most evening except Sunday. What I heard is that this guy actually go to the various different places and he buys good stuff. So he doesn't go into one factory and just buy everything from them. What I understand is that he goes to different factory and this guy is good for dim sum, this guy is good for whatever bun. So he actually collected like that. So his products are pretty nice. So we frequent that place. There was a period of time where he didn't show up, and driving past, my daughter was like saying, "Oh no, he's not here again today." The reason is we see him as providing service to us, and is adding value to us, and so we want it. But if your interest is in making money, your decision would be about making money. And if your decision and your approach is incongruent with the needs of the society, over time you won't get support. Now, if you create something with ill intent, perhaps a weapon, for instance, yes, there are crooked-minded people who will be interested in this because it serves their interest. But I think the world has got more nice people than not nice people. So I rather do a business where the constituent is, my customer base is bigger. So I think responsibility, whatever you're doing, you have to be very careful about it. And it comes back on the intent of what you're trying to do. And I think if your intent is to support someone, to support a community, it would sustain. Even a business, right? Early in the morning, serving breakfast to people within the community, that's service. He's making money. I like to tell stories, so I'll tell you this story. There was once I was going to a bank and I was very early. So there was a McDonald's nearby. So I said, fine, I got my laptop with me. I just opened up my laptop and start working, waiting for the bank to open up. Then I saw this queue of people coming in, buying breakfast. And I thought, oh, gee, business is good. But it actually struck me that that McDonald's, a small little McDonald's outlet, is literally serving the community in that area. Everyone is getting breakfast, right? So if even that you are serving, you have got a value to the community, Yeah. So whatever you do, I think in terms of just to answer the question, in terms of responsibility, you have to be very careful what it is because it comes from your intent. And if you don't take care of your responsibility because your intent is not correct, then I don't think you'll last. That's my opinion.
That's words of wisdom.
Yeah, totally agree with what Dr. Edwin said, because there's one particular YouTube video that I really like, a TED Talk by this person called Simon Sinek.
Yes.
Yeah, he talks about like people will believe in why you do it, not what you're doing. So that's how great leaders are, right? Yeah, so that is really directly applied to what Dr. Edwin said.
Yeah, but 90% of our time running business, we just focus on how are we doing it.
Yeah.
And then towards the end only, we that's why. But how red tape until we lost ourselves.
Yeah,
right?
And how to do it and not enough time.
Procrastination. So I guess that's the that's the intent. That's the responsibility that our speakers here today are trying to say. Dear listeners, like, if your intention, like the Pao guy, I like the dim sum person, like if his intention is not only to make money, but to make the community happy. That's why I want to make the community happy, then only I get the money. So first make community happy. That's select the best stuff that I can put into my mouth and I feel it's nice. Okay, that's only I want to sell. So that's a very good example. Then people like the community will miss them. Same goes with McDonald's. Yeah, I put aircon, I put nice chair, the nicest, beautiful chair. I hire people with beautiful uniform. All must smell nice and look nice, you know. Then the community is happy to go towards that. Right. Thank you so much. Okay. So I got another question for you guys. Is it easier? What's that? Sorry?
Go on, go on.
Last question actually from Joanne. Dr. Edwin sort of briefly answered, but I would still like to pull it out for both Johnson and Dr. Edwin again, since we're talking about the community values and also business value, how they go hand in hand and all that. So is it easier for products or is it easier for services when it comes to, like, you know, building up the values? Like, which one is easier, product or service? Hard to say.
I think it depends on your business model. If the model is that you're selling, they're buying items from you. So we're talking about in the context of social and business happening at the same time, right? So if it is like that, in terms of business model, it's much easier if it is a product, because they end up buying from you, right? You end up like a supplier. Nothing wrong with that, because you're also doing them a service in the sense that you actually help them make the parts or the consumable available, or the patties or what have you.
But then the problem is, most of the businesses out there who deals with community value. Now, I'm not talking about big company with a CSR department. That's different, yeah. Like that actually works hand in hand with the communities. I guess they have the issue. They don't really sell a lot of products. I see from my experience. I think they're bound to services more, like education programs or transformation programs or whatnot. So it depends on context, lah.
William, it comes back to intent. Now, if my intention is to enrich the community, right? And if I were to teach one, and for me, it's not about making money anymore, right? It's about adding value to the community, and then 1 multiplied by 2, 2 to 4, 4 to whatever. And my rewards is seeing the community. You see, when the community is doing well, you have lower crime. You have got lower many other things, right? And your value could be like, I'm now in a safe environment, isn't it? So if you look at Australia, for instance, why would Australia actually spend so much money helping Indonesia? Yeah. Because they want Indonesia to be in a safe condition, and they won't invade the northern part because they want land. You see? So you actually, say for instance, some of us actually do community thing because we actually want the community to be you don't want them to be struggling, and then subsequently there'll be crime, there'll be all kind of stuff, right? Because we all have to eat.
For world peace.
Yes. So in general, if I talk about, I want to have the business running in concurrent with social, I think the product is easier because I just end up just supplying them. But again, you see, intention is extremely important, because what your intention is starting a business. I give you an example. Yusmani in the class, in the session right here would remember this. I also look after a subsidiary for Taylors University, Taylors Consultancy. At one point in time, we were asked to run a tuition program for NICPA, the Malaysian Institute for Practicing Public Accountant, Chartered Public Accountant. So we were running tuition. So I mean, our intention is supposedly make money, right? But when we got into the business, our intention, we got to know more about the student, and then we realized that a lot of these people are very young accountant, just getting into the industry, and their pay is quite little, quite sad, you know, quite scary also. Actually, you do not know how they're going to survive. So a lot of these people starting off just renting a room, and they don't have much money, but they need the qualification to go up. So then our intention becomes set to support these people to get their qualification. At one point in time, a lady called and said, "You give scholarship or not?" And in my mind, it was like, "I'm making money. What do you mean by I give scholarship?" But it triggers me into thinking about what is my intention. So when we talk to her and question her, we realize she actually genuinely want to get her qualification, and but she genuinely cannot support it. So what we did was this: we took a chunk of our profit margin. I think the first round we gave three or six, I can't remember, scholarship. So we asked people to apply, and we asked them to say what their reasons are that they need support. So, and in some of those cases, when you read it, it's like you also get quite saddened by the situation these people are in. So we gave them scholarship. And the next thing you know, they start talking, and they start promoting for us. We didn't do anything. They just start promoting for us. And then business become better. We gave more. So I think it is the intention portion is actually very important. So when we talk about the value that we're trying to do, right? Be it business or be it for social, the intention is primary.
Can I say something? Can I suggest a future where, or can I suggest this sentence lah? So basically, this is the age that we need to end the Chinese businessman stereotype kind of business. Is that right or is that wrong? Is this the age that we need to end this, where we need to really focus on the balance between running a business and looking at the community, like at the same time?
What do you mean, William? Are you seeing the Chinese businessman as in money-centered only?
Just money-centered. I just want to sell pao. I don't care what kind of pao you eat. I will sell it super expensive to you, and inside my pao is 80% bread and 20% indie. Like there are businesses like that, and they exist, yeah. And they give a bad name to the word business. Like, I'm just saying, like, is that an important thing or not? Like, is it something that the world needs to go towards or not? Like, or is it even possible?
It's an open market, and people would gravitate towards the good business, right?
Yeah. I also would love to believe, like what you said, there are more good people in the world than bad people. What about you, John? Confirm I know what's your answer, lah, Johnson. You.
No, actually, okay. Now there's two parts here, right? One is product versus services. So which one? Well, okay. And the second one is just now the Chinese businessman one, right? Okay,
let me just sumba towards the end. You can do the product versus services.
Shorter. I can do that first. So okay, I think that part is more on the perspective of things, lah. Okay, let's look at in Japan, right? Okay, Japan easier to see. Everyone one race. So Japan got Yakuzas, right? So are Yakuzas gangster bad for the community, or Yakuzas good for the community, right? Because at the same time, okay, they sort of like created the balance as well. Because for example, during any like the big tsunami that time, actually 60-70% of the economy that's running, people coming out to service, to help out the people, all that are actually from the Yakuza groups. Okay. At the same time, when it comes to safety and what do you call that? People behaving well, don't rob stuff and bullying other people, is because of the Yakuza's presence at the same time, right? But at the same time, we will look at Yakuza as a bad thing. They are gangsters, they created havoc and things like that. So that's why lah, don't know. It's just perspective. And to answer the product and the services part, for me, I'm also 50-50, okay? Because which one of it actually can create more impact? Of course, today, if we look at just the small timers like all of us, right? We will not really do much product. We will do more services. It's all because products are just too costly. It's usually more costly. It takes more time to come up with a good one to implement, okay? However, if we put that into balance, right? Actually, products, once you get a good product, okay, it's very easy to scale. It's very easy for you to distribute out to the communities or to the client, to the people, and the impact will keep creating itself, right? Whereas for services, of course, a lot of people will immediately do it first. It's because the result is immediate. Okay, so for example, this group of people needed this type of help. Okay, we can solve this particular problem. We quickly round out a group of like-minded people. We can go and provide the service and settle. Okay, the impact is very fast. However, if you look at it, okay, of course, it's lower cost, it's faster, but you actually need more people to provide the service, okay? And actually in the long run, it's also very hard to scale. It's very hard to duplicate this to another community because at the end of the day, it might not be the same. People are different, right? So that's the, both sides also got its pros and cons.
Totally agree with you, Johnson, especially on the perspective part of it, right? And also how like it's so difficult to come up with one product. The product is hard to come up with and easy to fail
Yeah.
a lot of times as well. But at the same time, looking at how, we people who are servicing the community are being bound to the service because every community is subjective. Every community has different situation, and every time they will need different like solutions for them. For example, yeah. Okay, we got a question from if there is time. Okay, if there's time for one last question, guys. What do you think about companies that uses CSR and community value as a cover for their profitability? The greenwashing people. What do you guys think? Perspective?
Yeah.
Dr. Edwin?
Yeah, doctor first.
You know, when I read that question, the first company that came to mind was the Body Shop. I think Body Shop, I do not know whether the article I read is the facts inside is valid or not. Body Shop always talk about they work with the community, they get the formula from the community, and they give back to the community in exchange for the things that I've learned from the community. Apparently, there was this article that I read that the percentage that actually give back to the community is actually very little. Now, there are also companies that wants to do CSR, but they pay someone to do it, or they just give money to do it. I think there's nothing wrong with that. The reason is if any organization, even like Taylors University, we have got a CSR unit, right? That actually do community service, provide community service. Without organization like this, the money or the whatever they supply, it doesn't become available to the community. So if organization like Taylors actually give money or otherwise to a community, it is to me it is good. But if you're using it as a disguise to say, okay, I'm actually green, or I help a community, you can, but again, how long will it sustain, right? Truth will always come out.
The intentions.
The intention, yeah. And from all the experience that I have, I think that your intention of doing anything is important. So if you're trying to use this as a trick, at some point in time, someone will find out, and then that's it.
Yep. True. I think because the question is, what do you think about companies that use CSR and community value as cover for their profitability? Cover for profitability, I don't think is too bad, right? Like, unless they are profiting from really, really bad sources, like cover for their crimes, then definitely a big no-no. I mean, if they have profit, then good lah. Got profit, then got CSR budget lah. No profit, then no CSR budget lah. Huh? Yeah. What do you think, Johnson, in this last part?
Okay. Yeah, this question maybe can be two sides. Okay, not two sides as in like good and bad and stuff like that. There are big corporate companies, of course, they have their CSR budgets. And also maybe talking about certain companies that look like they are doing good, but actually they are covering up businesses, like what Dr. Edwin just covered up some of it, right? Okay, I'm going to touch more about the corporate side. So of course, on the positive note, why corporate or corporation do CSR, and actually not a lot of big corporation is doing a lot yet, but we should encourage them to do, is because number one, of course, there's going to be tax exemption, right? So for big companies out there, you don't know how to reduce your tax. The easiest way, please do CSR right now. Call all these social enterprise to help you. You can pay other people to do it, no problem. Okay, that's number one.
Call
Second,
Johnson.
Yeah. Call this guy here with the microphone. He will teach you how, right? Okay, that's number one. The second part of course, doing CSR is, you get good branding. Because end of the day, yes, your company, especially, there are some company which is bad for the environment, maybe they are producing products that are producing more carbon footprint. So they will tend to do more of this nature conservation and things like that, which will help in their branding. Okay, that's the positive part. The third one is, of course, depending on which country they are in, it's part of the compliance, so they have to do so. And last but not least is also, I mean, end of the day, every company should think of it that way. When you build, especially multinational companies, when you go into a country, you build up the country, right? You also want your people to be good corporate citizens. So by doing all this CSR, it will help, okay? So of course, these are the list of good things. There are, of course, companies that, manipulated this, maximize this, or even under-declare their CSR. Is because over-declare their CSR is because of, right, yes, not to say they are money laundering, because CSR percentage is actually very small. It's just to, get certain tax exemption from it, or overly using it to cover branding, because yes, they are doing something very bad, but their CSR, they do 5 times more. And people tend to forget very fast, right? Yeah, so stuff like that. Somewhere in the middle there, because end of the day, we don't know whether they are doing it for the right or wrong. But end of the day, any good deed is a good deed, and it does help to inspire and expire and help people. So as long as it keeps coming, I think that's fine. That's good enough. As long as the CSR is not, creating more harm by doing that. Yeah, the intention, like what Dr. Edwin said.
Word, man, word. Thank you so much. That is really, really great. So we're going to stop our question and answer. So one last bit from my part is, what about a word of advice for our young innovators out there who wants to start their own businesses, by you guys, by Johnson and Dr. Edwin, a word of advice for the young innovators out there?
Okay. Okay. From my perspective, I've done it the hard way, where, okay, just fast forward like easier. The moral of the story is, in any type of, whether you're building a business, a startup, you're going out there working in a company for the first time, you just join this particular group or this team, okay? Number one is always think about how you can contribute to the team or to the environment or to the organization first, before start asking what is the organization or the team is going to help me, okay? So that actually comes down to building ecosystem, or building this group of friends or like-minded people, because once you have this support group, it's always very easy for you to whether launch stuff, getting feedback, or to do good in general.
Good advice, Johnson. If someone wants to start a business, look for areas where you can contribute in the sense that you can have a bigger impact. So from a business value point of view, we actually translate that to dollars and cents, something that has got a huge impact. But in like what Johnson said, that when you're working for someone, I see a lot of youngsters today. It's like, how much can I get out of it? How much are you willing to pay me for my time? And I have always tell our students this: before your first job, you got no work experience. And when someone is willing to give you a job, they are paying you to have a work experience. So in return, you should contribute to your employer as much as you can, simply because he's actually paying you to get experience. And the more you do, the more experience that you're going to have. So contributing / adding value to your employer, adding value to the community that you're trying to serve, is key. And again, you notice that at the end, we are still talking about value, right? So it's innovation service that we do is all about value to whoever that we are trying to help.
Thank you so much, Dr. Edwin. In the end of the day, money is not the only value, and there are way more. The word value is way bigger than what man has created, which is called money, right? Yeah. That's my ending message. You want to start a business, bro? Talk to Dr. Edwin. Talk to us. You can seek Johnson's advice as well, dear listeners. And with that, I will conclude our first episode today. And once again, thank you so much to both our guests here, Dr. Edwin from KTC Knowledge Transfer and Commercialization Department of Taylors, and as well as Mr. Johnson Lam from KakiDIY, two very legendary speakers we have today, two different perspectives that helps us to kickstart our journey towards the innovation of the nation. Yeah. So Taylors E-INNOFEST 2020, there you go, our first episode. Okay. Yeah, this will cue in our song. And thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot,
Thank you for
Johnson.
hosting.
Good
Bye-bye.
session. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Edwin. And thank you to everyone who joined us today. And for those who have missed us out, do check us out on our social media, on Taylor's social media. And this video is going to be up and running. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. And bye-bye.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
See you next week.
Thank you. Thanks, William. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you.